I was just thinking of that part in Dire Fire where the old woman comes to Baisab and she says something like, why did God create me or create all of this just to have all this suffering? Why not just leave things as they are? I mean, it's a childish question, but I don't know if there's something inside you that just doesn't want to be physical. I'm sorry.
Can I, and you probably have heard me say this 1,000 times since I've known you since you were a child. My mom's cousin Hussein, he doesn't say it now, but he used to when he was healthy. He had no use for life. He didn't want to go shopping. He didn't want to spend time with his daughter or his wife. He really just loved to garden because it's the only thing that he was able to create with passion. And he was very honest in doing his gardening. There is only one answer to your question, and I'm going to borrow that answer from Rumi. رو سر beneh balin tanha مرا raha کن ترک من خراب شبگرد مبتلا کن ماییم و موج سودا شب تا به روز تنها خواهی بیا ببخشا خواهی برو جفا کن از من گریز تا تو هم در بلا نیفتی بگزین ره سلامت ترک ره بلا کن. It's really such a beautiful poem. Supposedly his son goes to him and says, Dad, Rumi, is there anything I can do for you anything I can do for you? And he says to his son, رو سر beneh balin tanha مرا raha کن. That, no, just, go away, go to your bedroom, lay on your bed and rest. Tanha mara raha kon. Just let me be. It is such a You know, Cassie, from the age 15 till about 40, Muhammad used to go and sit in the caves. I mean, you're talking about a time where the culture is relatively rich. There are traditions in place. You've seen Jews, you've seen Christians. There are shamans everywhere. But there is just this yearning you have inside, and you have no idea what the hell to do with it. You take your longing, your yearning, your problems to the Jews, they can't do anything. You take it to the Christians, they can't do anything. You take it to your own people in Quraysh, they can't do anything. And just go to a cave. What's a cave? It's dark. The nice thing about darkness is that physicality, objects, they disappear. It's like you're floating in air. You're talking about a time where people have no food, they have no shelter, they have no money, they have nothing. Who's got time to ask these big questions? And yet this guy does. Well, what's the remedy to his pain? There is no remedy. And, Rumi says, ترک من خراب شبگرد مبتلا کن. I'm just a wanderer, I live in darkness. And I am mubtala. Mubtala means I'm infected. دردی است غیر مردن کن را دوا نباشد. It's a pain. And its remedy is only death. When you die, then your issue goes away. But until then, you kind of just struggle. The best, I think, if you have that culture inside you, if that culture has given you myths, epics, language, emotions that are religious in nature and quality, read the book of Job. He has no wife, he has no kids, he has no animals, he has no land, he doesn't even have a body that's functional. And what does he say, Cassie? I want the earth to open up and swallow me. Why did God do this to me? Why am I even here? Why didn't the milk in my mother's breast turn into poison? Why didn't it? After many, many pages of struggle, only near the end, what does God tell him? Accept. I'm not Job. You may be, I'm not. Job was able to live with the contradictions and paradoxes that exist in life. I don't buy these YouTube gurus who come on TV and tell us to accept all things. If you're a Job, if you connect your question to Bhavatar's poem, Consider a flower to be your soul or spirit that has lived dormant under an avalanche of social, cultural, historical, personal narratives, ambitions, desires, your biology. At a certain point in your life, someone planted a seed and you began to kind of you lost your ability to laugh, to be happy, to be joyful. Instead of positive emotions and expressions, you began to gravitate towards the negative. You began to laugh less, talk less, be happy less. You began to cry more, be alone more, be angry more. You had lots of friends. Now you just live in solitude. And what happens? Little by little, your soul becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Once in a while, you see it coming out of the belly of the earth. Once in a while, you even see the flowers and you smell it and it smells beautiful. And then what happens, Cassie? It's something we talked about last week. There comes a point, something about you says, I just want a relationship. Something about you goes on to say more. I want children. I want a job. I want a house. And you pursue them, and then your soul again comes out and says, what the hell are you doing? You cried so much, and through your tears I came out, and you saw me. What need do you have for these other things? You were looking for me, you found me, and now you don't appreciate me. You wanna like put me by the wayside and go pursue other things. The truth is that's just everybody. You survive it the best you can without talking about it to anyone. Who's that guy? Michael Flatley. You guys know who he is. He is the river dance, I think, from Ireland. He just kind of just changed, transformed tap dancing into something extraordinary, really. I don't know who interviewed him, Barbara Walters or Diane Sawyer or someone. And he had become close to Michael Jackson, and apparently Michael Jackson had, shared some of his secrets with Michael Flatley. And the interviewer asked Michael that, so you spent some time with Michael Jackson. Did he say anything to you that he had never mentioned in public? And he said, I really liked him. Did he say things to me? Yes. Am I going to tell it to you? No, I'm going to take him to grave with myself. That's the only place that they can hear, Michael Jackson's story is the grave. when things that live inside you are really, really intense, and we had these moments plenty of times with Hussein, we just couldn't contain ourselves, um, and men have a much more difficult time crying and being emotional, and the three of us men would sit there and Hussein would sit over there, and sometimes he would just lose it because these ideas are so far removed from life. Some time ago, Sophia's teacher, she sends an email, and it's like a parent teacher like meeting or something where they give us an update about how your child is doing at the age of 5. It's a big deal. So we go there and they say, well, do you have any questions? And as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about, how I was raised back home. Dirt road, no heater. No one took anything seriously. We were just in the streets playing soccer. And we turned out relatively okay. There were never like a parent-teacher conference. I'm sitting at this like tiny little table, and they say, well, do you have any questions for us? Or should we just tell you how your child is doing? And I just couldn't contain myself. I burst into laughter for like 5-10 minutes. And, Sarah's really embarrassed. The teacher's, pleasant enough and nice enough to kind of just let me just kind of laugh it off. I said, well, okay, let us tell you, she has difficulty with certain numbers. When it comes to numbers, all I care about is, can she count $10 minus $10 equals how many dollars? Because that's the most important thing in life. Because in life you need money, and you just need to count. That's the only thing. Let me give you, Alan Watts. He was one of the people who brought, rightly or wrongly, presumed that he brought Buddhism to the West, specifically America. When you write and think about Buddhism, detachment, suffering, one day you wake up and you don't want to think about Buddhism. You say, I'm a man, I have a body, I want to lay my body next to somebody, preferably a woman. He goes, gets married. He married 7 times. He drank excessively. It's like Khalil Gibran. He drank excessively. You have 2 parts to you that are the complete opposite of each other. Jesus can talk all of his hippie talks because he didn't have a wife to tell him take out the garbage. Socrates was very lucky because after a while his wife just gave up. But the rest of us, we are far too contaminated. We want to make sure that Caesar is pleased with us as well as God. That the answer is right there. You can't serve 2 masters. It's impossible. You can't love them both because eventually you're going to love one and hate the other. That's just the way things are. If you if you like to sit and reflect deeply about things and hear things that have depth, you're not going to enjoy any gathering where conversation is superficial. They lack depth and substance. That's just the way it is. You know, there was this guy in Berkeley. He was doing his PhD in Middle Eastern or Near Eastern studies. His name was Quraysh, and I remember Saeed was getting married in San Jose. You know, and this was a guy who also wrote a lot of poetry, and he was very, very serious about his work. He sat at his table the entire 3.5 hours. His head was just down like this. He never lifted his head. He came to the ceremony out of respect, for Saeed and their friendship. He didn't talk to anybody. He didn't want to pretend. He didn't care what people thought of him. Another guy that we knew, his name was Kazem, not Saeed's brother, another Kazem, who had come from Iran as a santur player. And I remember, he had come to Sacramento, I think from Washington, and was staying with Saeed for a few days. And, Saeed would tell him, just make yourself breakfast and lunch. I'll be home like around, 5 or 6. And Saeed would come home and nothing is touched, and the guy was just playing santur. He says, Kazem, did you eat? No, when you left at 7 o'clock, I just woke up and I've been composing, He got married when he moved back to Washington. He got married and he had a daughter. But his creative side was far too powerful, far too intense, far in the foreground. And that couldn't tolerate a marriage where he was forced to go and get a job like Home Depot, talk about lumber and nails and glue guns, and then people harassing you, using profanities, vulgar language towards you. That doesn't go well. And what do you say? I just don't care about marriage. I don't care about shame. I don't care about my culture. I'm losing my craft. My soul is dying. You're divorced. There is no easy answer to your question because, and it's good that you want to protect both worlds. It's important. I think people who just throw everything out the window, well, they're good too. It's just a messy business, It's like the story Kierkegaard tells us about himself, where he doesn't want to get married because he doesn't want this woman to bring him down to earth and have him live in the world of Caesar. So he says no to the engagement. And, it's the 19th century. Once you tell someone you'll marry them, it's your word means everything. And Kierkegaard goes on saying, well, if I get married to this woman, what the hell am I going to do with God? I can't love God and this woman the same way. One of them needs to go. And he chooses God. He goes to the woman and says, no, I can't marry you. We have no idea how Romeo and Juliet would have fared if, Shakespeare didn't kill them off so early. Let them, how old is Juliet? 12? How old is Romeo? How old is Romeo? 13 or 14? So they meet each other, and it's not like today where you go out and have coffee for 5 hours. One is standing over there, the other is standing way, way over there. they see, 10 seconds later, they say, I love you. And Juliet shouts back, I love you too. And so they have an image of each other. They go home and they play with their image. The longing grows more and more intense. And then, Romeo texts Juliet, if there is texting back then, says, let's meet. She says, I can't, my father will kill me. And, she can't get to her beloved, and so she goes to sleep. Romeo goes to her, thinks that she's dead. He kills himself. Juliet wakes up, seeing that Romeo is dead, she kills herself. Well, the nice thing, they lived in love and they died in love. I doubt very much, Cassie, that if they were tested by the demands of physical life, that love would have survived. می بنوش منبر بسوزان مردم آزاری مکن. Drink wine, even though it's not something that you should do if you're a Muslim. منبر بسوزان. Intoxication must only come from God, not liquor. But it's okay, drink it. Drink liquor. Mambar. When you go to the mosque, the clergy goes, just, goes up these steps and sits on this thing and gives a sermon. He's supposed to be the spokesperson for Muhammad and God. And the poet says, burn it, منبر بسوزان, مردم آزاری مکن. Don't hurt people. People struggle as it is. We don't need to, burden them some more. Relationships are difficult. Don't infect people with self-knowledge and relationships, love and relationships, passion and relationships, the spiritual quest and relationships. These are just too much. Leave people alone. And I guess my answer to your question would be this. It's something Hussein would tell me sometimes, and I would go and say to him, Hussein, these philosophy classes are unbearable. They are killing me. My soul is dying for like an hour and a half in this class. And he would say, Amir, quit school. And do what? You made a mess of my life. I'm trying to put some of it back together. I'm sharing you the difficulties I'm having with these ridiculous classes and these stupid people teaching these classes, and your answer is quit. So what do you want me to do? I can't do anything. Quit if you want. Go study business or geography. There is never anything wrong with taking a break. Just going away for 20 years, painting your house, fixing the backyard, and then the front yard, and then braiding your child's hair every single day. Just distract yourself, just live life. Drink wine, burn the pulpit. Life is problematic. Don't make it more difficult for people. You know, um, you know, I didn't know that my mom had breast cancer. It accidentally slipped out of my sister's tongue. It was like she was getting radiation. I just didn't know. You know. Even now, accidentally, she says, yeah, you know, I have to take these pills and they're huge. And you know, she says in a funny way that I think they give these pills to horses because they're so big. I don't know how, you know, human beings can take these pills, but it says, you know, to this day, the left side of my body, because of radiation, the skin has discolored. It's darker. It slips. You know, my father, he doesn't say much about how he's doing, you know. He just, yeah, I'm good. Things are good. I said, well, you were at the car wash for 10 hours. Well, you know, that's just life. It happens. You know, what can he say? I mean, it's a very, very seasoned and mature human being to say, okay, what am I going to say? Complain to who? For what? What is it going to do? What exactly is it going to fix? You know, why the hell would I want to, like, talk someone's ear off by telling them my problem? My problem is my problem. Just, you know, carry your burdens with diligence, you know, with humility. Just I know that walking away is not a possibility. And I know that you're not really looking for a remedy. We're all just sitting here venting, you know, with the exception of Jackie. She has nothing to vent about. You know, Saeed moved to,
Los Angeles.
yeah, and I hadn't talked to him for like 2 years or so. My mom says, oh yeah, did you know that Saeed left San Jose for LA? I said, really? Yeah. So I call him. It's like a 10-minute conversation. What are you doing? Nothing. How about you? Nothing. How's classes? Oh, they're okay. How's music? Oh, fine. So, are you going to come and see me? I don't know, maybe. How about you coming to Oakland? Probably not. Okay, well, listen, take good care. What else is there to say?